I watched her, still messing around with that little phone app like she was still in high school. My sister, Olivia, scoffed from her place across the Thanksgiving table. Seriously, Julia, when will you finally mature and find some actual employment? That sales clerk gig at Harris Electronics hardly counts as a long-term profession. I just sat there quietly working hard to keep myself together as my family's critical views left me feeling utterly defeated. It was the Thanksgiving holiday at my mom and dad's place. Just me, Olivia, my parents, and my cousin Nina. Though the aroma of roasted turkey and cranberry sauce hung heavy in the air, all I could feel was the burden of their disappointment. My name is Julia Lee, and I'm 25 years old. For the last 3 years, I've been employed at Harris Electronics while secretly working to create an AI inventory program. The job in retail wasn't only a way to cover expenses. It provided me with essential real-world experience. Every annoyed customer I spoke with, every problem with the inventory, and every inefficient step in the process I dealt with helped me improve my app. But you try getting my family to understand that. Julia dear, my mom broke the silence with that patronizing voice that I knew all too well. Olivia is just worried about you. Take a look at her. At only 28, she's already a senior marketing manager. We only desire the greatest things for your future. I looked down at my phone once more, fighting back a grin as I read the newest message from the software engineers at Apple. They were impressed with what I'd put together and wanted to set up one last meeting. But I didn't say a word. I figured out a while back that telling my family about my goals just led to ridicule. Olivia chuckled, grabbing another roll, figuring my sister was likely messing around again. I recalled last year when she claimed she was trying to pick up coding. Like someone who nearly failed math could actually create something useful. My dad concurred with a nod. Tech's really for the younger generation, honey, he said. Why don't you let Olivia assist you in landing a good marketing job? I inhaled deeply, slipped my phone into my pocket, and plastered on a smile. You're absolutely correct. I guess I'm just spinning my wheels here. Those dishonest words left a nasty taste in my mouth, but I told myself that the future would be different. The appointment with those Apple bigwigs was set for promptly at 9 in the morning. Across the table, Nina made eye contact and winked discreetly at me. She was the only one who understood what was really happening, and her quiet encouragement meant the world to me. I scanned my family as they went on with their Thanksgiving meal, laughing and talking as if they hadn't just stomped all over my aspirations. That well-known pain in my chest took me back to all the times they had brushed off my goals. That trend began way back, long before I started developing my app. Growing up in Albuquerque, I was always the odd one out. Olivia always shined when interacting with people and consistently achieved straight A's, whereas I devoted enormous amounts of time to my own pursuits, completely captivated by the world of computers and technology. My dad used to say I was just holding myself up in there, but actually I was picking up new skills, expanding my knowledge, and instructing myself in the ways of coding through online tutorials and countless evenings spent fixing errors in my programs. All of a sudden, I was brought back to reality by Olivia, who reminded me of the time Julia attempted to put together that website for Mom's book club. That turned out to be a complete flop, if I recall correctly. The thing is, what no one realized was that monumental failure was actually my first real foray into the world of coding. I have to admit, it was far from polished and the aesthetics weren't exactly top-notch, but I acquired incredibly valuable knowledge about how to design user-friendly interfaces and effectively manage databases, expertise that would eventually prove crucial in the development of my application. My dad remarked that at least she could be counted on at the store, almost as if that was the best thing I could ever hope to achieve. Apparently, the supervisor mentioned that she never shows up late. Little do they know that my boss, Alice, was one of the first to believe in what I was doing. She had personally witnessed how my software could monitor stock levels, forecast upcoming sales trends, and enhance the overall customer experience. You're actually finding solutions to real-world problems, Julia, is what she told me just the other day. Pay no attention to anyone who says otherwise. Nina reached down beneath the table and gave my hand a gentle squeeze. About a quarter of a year back, when I first presented the initial version of my app to her, she immediately grasped the vast opportunities it presented. They'll come around sooner or later, she murmured quietly, making sure her voice was inaudible to everyone else. As my mother began to take away the dinnerware, I instinctively got up to assist her. Olivia, please share some more details about your recent job advancement, she stated, her face glowing with happiness. Your dad and I were actually boasting about it to the people next door just yesterday. I toted a stack of plates toward the sink, remembering all those evenings I had poured my energy into my app following exhausting days at the store, fueled by caffeine and willpower. While the neighbors may be hearing about Olivia's professional advancement, tomorrow they would be reading about my achievements in the morning paper. My phone vibrated yet again, with another message from the Apple team confirming the meeting scheduled for the next day. I permitted a small smile to appear as I cleaned the plates. Let everyone else assume I was simply an ordinary store clerk chasing impossible aspirations. Everything was going to be different 24 hours from then. Following our meal, I went back to my childhood room because I needed to be by myself for a few minutes. The room was exactly as I had left it. My former computer was still on the table where I had written my first lines of computer language. I was able to pick up on the sounds of my family's voices rising from the sitting room, their joviality being periodically broken by them saying my name. As I opened my laptop in order to look over the material for the next day's discussion, a new communication appeared. It was a message from Nathan, a former schoolmate who was now employed in the main office of Harris Electronics. The words I saw in front of me caused my body temperature to suddenly plummet. Julia, there's something you need to know. Olivia dropped by our office just last week. She kept bringing up your app and your work hours, which I found a little odd, honestly. As I went through the remainder of his text, my hands were shaking slightly. It seemed that Olivia had been digging around, asking about my project, saying she was concerned about my sister's professional decisions. She even made an attempt to get into my work PC. I was pulled out of my thoughts by a gentle tap on the door. It was Nina who had come in. "Everything all right?" she asked. "You seemed to vanish pretty soon after we finished eating." I saw worry written all over her face as she took a seat next to me on the bed. Olivia made an attempt to snoop around my project. My voice almost broke as I spoke. "She went to the place where I work, Nina. I'm not sure why she would do that." Nina's face took on a serious expression. "Because she's in the know. Maybe not all the specifics, but she has a feeling that you're getting close to something important. I happened to hear her talking to your mom a short while ago. She's afraid you're going to look bad if you show a beginner's app to professional tech companies." It was like everything suddenly made sense to me. Olivia's subtly critical remarks back at dinner. The way my parents started criticizing my career path more and more, and how they were always suggesting I switch over to marketing. It wasn't just that they were downplaying my ambitions, they were purposely trying to keep me from being successful. "Take a look at this," Nina said, as she took her phone out. She held up Olivia's most recent Instagram update. It was a snapshot from inside her office, with the caption, "Gotta guide my little sis in the right direction. Sometimes the best way to show love is to be a little tough." Hearing that phrase, "family first," really got to me. There was something so patronizing about it that it made my heart clench. After all those evenings dedicated to refining my code, plus all the work with users to test and fix everything, they thought they needed to protect me from my own ambitions. It felt like my family saw me as just some sales clerk who was dreaming way too big. I whispered, as I closed my laptop, realizing I couldn't believe I was actually about to tell them about the upcoming meeting with Apple. I'd actually considered sharing my victory with them. Nina gently patted my shoulder. "Then maybe you shouldn't, just let them discover it like anyone else." Often, the most satisfying payback is simply allowing people's incorrect assumptions to fall apart around them. What she said resonated with me. They were going to find out the truth tomorrow, but they wouldn't hear it from me directly. It's often true that saying nothing is more powerful than speaking. I didn't get much sleep that night, as my head spun with thoughts about the next day's important meeting, along with Olivia's treachery. As soon as it hit 6 a.m., I quietly gathered my laptop and presentation, intending to leave before anyone stirred. However, as I quietly made my way down the steps, I picked up on voices coming from the kitchen. "Listen, Mom, I'm serious. We have to put an end to this immediately." Olivia's tone was harsh, cutting through the stillness of the early morning. "Julia's going to make a fool of herself with this app idea. I happen to see what she's been working on at Harris Electronics." It's really just a simple way to keep track of inventory. There's nothing particularly special about it. I stopped moving on the staircase, feeling my heart hammering in my chest. How could she possibly know the specifics of what I was developing? I talked to someone I know at the patent office, Olivia went on to say. Julia hasn't registered anything, according to the records. It's just not right letting her throw her life away on this make-believe world, my mom said with a sigh. Do you think maybe we ought to get in touch with the HR people over at Apple, just to let them know she might not be all that she seems? Somehow, the true worry I heard in my mom's voice was more painful than Olivia's plotting. They honestly believed they were shielding me from making bad choices for myself. Walking into the kitchen, I let them know I was there. I told them they didn't have to think about calling anyone, and the words came out sounding calmer than I felt inside. I'm capable of making my own decisions about my work life. They both jumped a bit, surprised that I was suddenly there. Olivia was the first to get over it, and her face changed to one of caring and sympathy. Sweetheart, we're only doing this because we care about you. That little app of yours is a nice thing to try, but you aren't really a developer. You've got to be practical and face reality. Practical, I took my phone out and brought up my portfolio as a developer. Like how I've been practically putting in work on this thing for the last 3 years, or practically teaching myself how to code ever since I was in high school. Now, sweetie, my mother started to say. Olivia has experience with established tech firms. She knows the kinds of things they want to see. No, that's not true at all, I interrupted. Her job is in marketing. She has no clue what my app is actually capable of because she only got to see the most simple version we use in the store. The actual behind-the-scenes system is way more involved. Olivia's sympathetic smile weakened for a second. But I was just visiting you at your job last week. I saw pretty much everything. I told her that she only saw what I chose to show her as I tried to build up my nerve. The version available to the public is merely a fraction of the complete system. But you wouldn't get that, would you? Were you too preoccupied with trying to undermine me to ever inquire about what I was up to? The kitchen became completely quiet. From the window, the sun was coming up over the Sandia Mountains, filling the sky with pink and gold hues. Everything was about to be different in a matter of hours. I've got a meeting I need to attend, I stated, turning to go. There's no need to contact Apple. They're already fully aware of my identity and my abilities. Julia, hold on, my mom shouted as I started to leave. We are your family, after all. We simply want to shield you from heartache. I stopped in the doorway, considering all the evenings I'd dedicated to writing code, every tutorial I'd pored over, and all the rounds of tests and repairs. They had absolutely no clue about my potential because they'd never bothered to look beyond their preconceived notions. Occasionally, I murmured softly, the individuals who believe they're safeguarding you are in reality only guarding their own perception of who you should be. After saying that, I headed out, leaving them there in the kitchen. The air of the morning felt refreshing and brisk and was just overflowing with promise. I needed to be at a meeting, and I was determined not to let anybody hinder my progress. All that glass and shiny steel made the Apple headquarters lobby feel rather imposing. While I was waiting for my meeting to start, my phone just kept buzzing with messages coming from my family. I disregarded every one of them with the exception of Nina's. They're completely losing it. Olivia's been spending the entire morning fawning around trying to figure out the truth of what's happening. A modern, smooth-running elevator whisked me up to the top floor, where Alice, the person who runs my store, was already there. Seeing her, someone I knew so well, in this completely surprising place stopped me dead in my tracks. "Surprise," she said with a wide smile. "You honestly believed I was just running a retail store? For the last year, I've actually been in charge of figuring out new stuff for Apple Retail, testing out different ideas in actual store environments." My brain started spinning as I thought back to all the times Alice had given me ideas for my app, and all the questions she'd asked about what it could do. What I just figured was friendly curiosity was actually her doing her job, checking it all out. "Last week, your sister visited the store," Alice kept talking, and her face got pretty serious. "She tried to get into your personal files, saying she was your partner in the business. When that didn't work, she even suggested that you might have taken the idea from her own company." I felt like all the color had just left my face. "She did what?" Alice reassured me, "but don't worry, we recorded her trying to get into your computer with our security cameras." And on top of that, we've been keeping track of how you've been developing everything ever since I first saw a version of your app half a year ago. So, your sister's stories just won't hold any weight. When we went into the room, it was already filled with all the important people. I took my laptop out, and even though my heart was pounding, my hands were totally still. This was what I had been working toward. "Hello," I said to everyone there. So I started out. For the last 3 years, I've dedicated myself to building an AI-driven inventory platform that does more than just keep tabs on our products. It forecasts what customers are going to do, optimizes how supplies move, and changes with shifts in the market as they happen. As I gave them a look at the system, I noticed their excitement start to build. The AI's power to forecast what inventory levels should be based on weather, local happenings, and what's trending on social media was something totally new to what's out there. "That's truly amazing," the head of tech stated. "But why put it through its paces at a small electronics retailer?" I cracked a smile. "It's because retail is where you'll find the most significant challenges. Being out there where the sales actually happen showed me the things that shoppers and the staff really need, rather than what higher-ups just assume they need." The presentation went on, and as I showed them each new capability, I saw that they were growing more and more certain about it. Once I was done, everything went quiet for a second. "We want to put a proposal on the table," the CTO finally said. "Not just for the platform itself, but to bring you on board with us as an assistant director focused on new ideas in retail, working together with Alice." The figure he jotted down on the whiteboard took my breath away. It was more cash than my whole family earned in a year. "Something else," Alice chimed in. "We're aiming to get your system working in all the Apple stores and our partner retailers by the end of the next 3 months. We're going to make the official word known tomorrow morning." The retailers we collaborate with, like Harris Electronics, which used to be a franchise of my family's business, would be required to implement my system, the very one they had previously written off as a pointless endeavor. Just as I was initialing the first documents, I felt my phone vibrate once more. It was a text from Nina. Apparently, Olivia is completely freaking out. She just found out Apple is the largest customer of her company, and they are going to reveal some important new tech purchase tomorrow. She's concerned it might impact her marketing agreements. I slipped my phone into my pocket, trying not to grin. I just couldn't wait for tomorrow to arrive. That evening, after I got back to my room, I was looking over the final acquisition agreements when a bunch of alerts suddenly popped up on my phone. It seemed Olivia had learned that her marketing agency's latest undertaking, an entire retail technology revamp for their clients, was being put on hold until Apple made a major announcement. "Julia, we have to talk," her message said. "This is a really big deal. Please give me a call." I was about to switch my phone off when it started ringing. It was Alice on the line. "I just felt I should let you know," she told me. "Your sister's company has been desperately trying to get details about what's being announced tomorrow. She says that she needs to safeguard her family's well-being. I've already had to decline 3 calls from her." I let out a sigh and started massaging my forehead. "She's likely just stressed about losing her deals." "There's more to it," Alice said, pausing slightly. "Julia, she's been telling people that she actually assisted in the creation of your system. She's claiming she developed the central marketing strategies that led to its success." I instinctively made fists. Even now, Olivia felt the need to steal the recognition for what I accomplished. I was suddenly bombarded with memories of my whole life spent being in her shadow. Every success I had felt diminished, every aspiration laughed at. "There's another thing you should be aware of," Alice went on. "Your parents' shop isn't simply just another branch of Harris Electronics. It's actually one of the most successful ones in the Southwest, based on the records we have. They've exploited their success to prevent smaller shops from opening nearby." The truth really stung. All those moments when they'd looked down on my job in retail. They had been making money from the very industry they made fun of me for being involved in. My phone vibrated again. It was a text from my dad. "I just learned about Apple's announcement planned for tomorrow. Olivia thinks it might have an impact on our business. What's your take on it?" Before I had time to answer, another message came through. This time it was from my mom. "Sweetheart, would you please let Olivia know that she's welcome to fix whatever issue you might have caused? She has valuable contacts." I felt that ache I knew so well in my heart, but this time there was something else mixed in with it. Resolve. For so long, they've used their accomplishments as a reason to tear down my own. That ends tomorrow. I rang Nina to fill her in on what had happened. Your sister has been calling everyone she knows who works at Apple, Nina told me. She's frantically trying to discover what's going to happen. And your folks, they're incredibly worried about their prize store. That's how it should be, I murmured under my breath. It's not just about keeping tabs on what's in stock for my system. It's also about detecting unethical business tactics, like how bigger companies sometimes box out smaller ones. Nina didn't say anything for a bit. So you're saying that once your system is up and running, it will point out their business due to their restrictive and unjust market practices, right? I inhaled deeply. Just like any other franchise, they're going to have to adjust their methods. Nina's voice was gentle as she said my name. Julia, are you positive you want to do this? This is your family we're talking about. Relations should support and uplift, not tear each other down, was my response. I also want to add that this isn't driven by a desire for payback. These problems get flagged by the system because small entrepreneurs suffer from them. They'll have to get used to it, just like everybody else, my family will. I started getting ready for bed, and I started to ponder the unveiling that was set for the next day. My family was going to find out about my accomplishments, not through a private discussion, but through a public declaration that would rattle the easy lives they've gotten accustomed to. Occasionally, justice comes in the guise of new software. On the day of the announcement, I found myself sitting in Apple's press room, watching the live broadcast of everything going on up on several monitors. The head of the company was explaining how this innovative AI tech was going to completely change retail management. I saw my family's astonished expressions displayed on the screen, mixed in with all the other Harris Electronics franchise owners who were part of the virtual meeting. The CEO kept talking, mentioning that this groundbreaking system had been created by Julia Lee, our new Deputy Director of Retail Innovation, who had spent 3 solid years refining it from her own time in the trenches of retail. The live video feed of the franchise meeting really nailed my family's reactions. The coffee cup simply fell right out of my mother's hand. The color completely vanished from my father's face. And as the realization dawned on Olivia, her face shifted from perplexed to utterly terrified as she understood what it all meant. The CEO went on to detail how the system would guarantee equitable market practices across every franchise location. I noticed my parents exchanging concerned looks, and I knew they were thinking about how their approaches to holding onto their market area would soon be out in the open. Then a message popped up on my phone from Olivia. You have to make it stop right now. Do you even understand the kind of damage this will cause to Mom and Dad's business? And what about my marketing agreements? I chose not to answer it. Alice moved on, showcasing the system's functionalities during the presentation. She stated that this would become the required management system for all Harris Electronics locations starting next week. Absolutely no exceptions would be made. I remembered every single time they made fun of my simple app and all the times they advised me to just stay in retail. So I was pretty much locked into the retail world, and now that world was about to latch onto my family in ways they couldn't have imagined. In the time that followed the announcement, the life my family had worked so hard to build began to fall apart. The Harris Electronics store was cited for several unfair competitive practices, and they were told they had to immediately change how they did business. Olivia's company that did marketing lost several big accounts when her clients decided to go with firms that understood the new retail setup. I got a long email from my mom. It was full of all kinds of emotions, including feeling bad about not believing in me, worrying about what would happen to their business, and really wanting me to help them. My dad phoned me 2 times, leaving messages that went back and forth between being angry and blaming me, and then saying he was sorry. Olivia, not surprisingly, decided to try a different tactic. She showed up at the Apple headquarters, saying that she had important information about how the system was being made. Security camera footage showed her being taken out, politely but firmly, after Alice showed proof of her past attempts to mess with my project. Nina stopped by to see me in my new office, which now had an incredible view of the Albuquerque city center. She gestured toward my nameplate and asked, "So, what does it feel like?" It read, Julia Lee, Deputy Director of Retail Innovation. "It feels unreal," I confessed, while looking out at the Sandia Mountains far away. However, it also felt like the right thing. My phone vibrated with yet another message from my parents, wondering if we could get together to discuss how I could help them adapt to the new system. I set my phone screen down on the desk surface, choosing to concentrate on what lies in front of me. To tell you the truth, sometimes the most satisfying payback doesn't come from retaliating. It comes from progressing and allowing those who doubted your abilities to deal with the ramifications.